to a Lions Den Sport interview. Very pleased to finally have on my man Robert Diaz. Robert, how you doing?
Gary, I'm doing good. I'm excited. I'm back in the UK. It's been a while, a year almost, a little bit over. Last
Really?
time I was in Liverpool, so I'm excited. I love the fans out here, the passion, the support they have for the fighters, and it's always a pleasure to be here. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on with you.
Thank you very much. How you finding the Liverpool weather?
It's not as bad. It was I thought it was going to be a little colder. I walked out today, had a little walk. It's not as bad as it was last year, so it's very comfortable at this moment.
Different from LA though, right?
Yes, I spend time between LA and Miami, so
Nice.
I'm very used to the warm weather.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Well, Robert, we want to talk a little bit about your fighter who's fighting this weekend against Nick Ball. So you got Ronnie fighting this weekend. Ronnie Rios. Tell me a little bit about Ronnie, man, because he's obviously he's coming in as the underdog, I would say, against Nick Ball.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, anytime you go into the Lions Den, you're fighting the champions. Um, in the champion's backyard. You're fighting uh, against the current. You're going against, right now we're different time zone, obviously a different weather, um, fighting the crowd, fighting the fans. But I think when you're fighting for the world title, that's how it should be. I think that's what gives it even more of that it takes off the pressure of the opponent. The pressure
Mm.
is really on Nick. He has to perform in front of his fans. He is the house favorite. He's the betting favorite. He's the undefeated. He's the champion. He's in his backyard. All the pressure's on him. Ronnie is not expected to win. He's supposed to be the opponent. He's supposed to be a showcase fight. So all pressure is off him. Now, the difference is this is a young man that I worked with early on in his career since he was a 6 round fighter. Took him to 2 world title fights. This is the third. Hopefully, Saturday night, third time's a charm. He's come back for the right reasons. A lot of times you see a fighter at his stage coming back for the money. Ronnie really, really done it all, fought everybody, fought for the world title a couple of times, came up short. He really, truly got into this last time out because one thing was the missing, and that's to become a world champion. When he came back to me after 2 years being out and said, Robert, I want to do it again. I miss it. It wasn't about money. I told him we're gonna start small and go. It wasn't about that. He showed it to me. He was dedicated. This is the fighter that I want to see when they want to come back. This is the fighter that wants to come back for the legacy, for the fulfillment, not for the money, not for the quick buck. So I'm excited. It's going to be a hell of a fight. Again, we're going against the current. Nick is in his perfect moment, undefeated, young. This is what you want to see when you're a young fighter. He went out, gave. I mean, look at the disparity, when fighting against the odds when he fought Vargas, who's so much taller, the height, the reach, yet he was able to get inside and make that a fight. So all due respect to him, it is going to be a tough fight, but I love it because what Nick's faced in his last couple fights is fighters that fight on the back foot.
Mm.
Ronnie
Got
doesn't
this.
fight on the back
So,
foot. Ronnie will meet Nick right in the center of the ring, which at the end of the day will guarantee the fans a hell of a fight. So
mm.
now I'm hoping the stars align. Obviously, Ronnie has the talent. He's trained hard. Camp went very well. So now it just has to put in that experience, that desire, that hunger into it on fight night and come out with the victory.
Yeah, as you said, the decks are certainly stacked against him, but you have full belief in him, which is really good to see, and his team have full belief in him. I've spoken to some of his team, and they seem to have full belief in him as well. So, as you said, it's a win-win situation for him, right? He's the away fighter. He's got everything to play for, everything to win, and hopefully, he's got his dream to come true, right? Um, his last fight as well, he faced someone, Nicholas, right? I forgot who he fought. Nicholas
Blanco,
Polanco. Yeah. So how about that fight? How did you look in that fight as well?
Well, after 2 years off, I wanted to see a Ronnie cut off the ring. I wanted to see an aggressive Ronnie. I didn't
Mm,
want a fight that normally you go in and teams want to get that quick win, first round knockout. Okay, you're back. It wasn't a long journey that was ahead of us. It was a short journey that was ahead of us. So it was a matter of, okay, show me what you got. And then from there, let's go into an international type fight against a former world champion, against somebody else that had fought for a world title. And then hopefully we can land a title shot if you win those two. Well, he looked so good in the first fight after 2 years off, got the fifth round knockout, worked the body, didn't show me rust, didn't show me that his hands couldn't let go, like the timing was off or he just couldn't get off. Sometimes you see that in an old fighter that he sees it, but he just can't execute. I didn't see that in Ronnie. It was almost like, yes, I took a break, but the break did me good. I recharged the batteries. I rejuvenated. So it almost like you started where you left off. But I saw that hunger and desire. Obviously, he got the knockout. That gave us a little bit more of, you know what? Let's go for it. And when this call came, it wasn't a matter of do we have to think about it? Do we're ready? 20-year-old Ronnie, yes, you think about it. At
mm,
this stage in his career, you don't think about a world title fight. That's what you're back for. So
mm,
this was a great opportunity to fast forward. And again, roll the dice. Boxing is opportunities. You
mm.
have to take those opportunities. And this is a great opportunity for us, fighting on the big stage. Thank you to, obviously to Queensberry. Thank you to Nick Ball and his team. But I think you guys made a mistake. We're going to spoil, and I am very confident Ronnie will spoil the homecoming.
Amazing, man. Well, we look forward to seeing that fight. That fight's on Saturday, this Saturday, over in the Liverpool Echo Arena. If anyone hasn't got tickets, definitely get down there and check out the show. It's going to be a great show. Got some great undercards on there as well. But Robert, I want to find a little bit more about you as well because you used to be a Golden Boy matchmaker, and now you're the president of Share Sports Management, right? And
Absolutely. I
you know,
was.
I was going to say you got some really good fighters. You got Ronald Ellis. Ronald Ellis is there. You've got Georgie, the upcoming welterweight. He's like 6'1", isn't he? He's massive.
Joel Uriarte, amazing young fighter, dedicated young fighter. And sky's the limit. This is a kid that's dedicated to boxing, lives, sleeps, eats. I mean, he literally lives in the gym and he's always ready and training and a pleasure to work with.
Mm.
And of course, there's also the Bocanegra brothers that we recently signed, Ray and Xavier Bocanegra, national champions, outstanding amateurs. Xavier is now 5-0, three knockouts. Ray's going to be making his pro debut. Ronnie Hines, a heavyweight that we have, he's 13-0. Austin Brooks,
Oh, great
number
fight.
15 in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So little by little, putting it together and building a very strong stable and looking for tremendous talent. Jason Quigley has done a tremendous job out here in the UK, signing some of the top young fighters coming out as well. McGivern, who's going to be on the card on Saturday. So we're excited. We're definitely excited what comes, what's future rise for Share Sports.
Jason Quigley used to be one of your boxers, right? At Share Sports.
I met him when I was at Golden Boy, and he was managed by Sheer Sports. And together, we're now today, after many years working together and having a great bond, we're together at Sheer Sports once again.
Amazing, man. So, why you made the move from Golden Boy, obviously, well reputable international company, great boxers, great reputation. Why did you decide to make the move from Golden Boy to Share Sports?
Great question. I mean, it was time for a change. I was at Golden Boy for 15 years. Like everything, I mean, things change, relationships change, times change, and it was time. Uh, Definitely very grateful to my years at Golden Boy. It opened up a lot of opportunities. I was very fortunate to work with some of the greatest fighters that ever stepped into the
Mm,
ring. Have a little part to say I had something to do with that career and made matched his career. So I have very fond memories. And again, it made me introduced me to a lot of different people from all over the world. But it was time. One thing I do enjoy of boxing is seeing the development from 4 rounds to 6 rounds to 8 to 10 and world champions. So when I left Golden Boy, there was calls for different promoters to come out and work and match make. After a few months of giving it thought, it was like, you know what, I want to go into the management part once again, go back and now having worked with a promoter, now working with the management, work directly with the fighters, try to build that bridge in between where both sides are happy. At the end of the day, it has to be a business that makes sense for both sides. So I got the call from Ken and his partner Lyle. And because I had known them through the years at Golden Boy and saw how good of managements they were, how they took care of their fighters, how they fought for their fighters, and not only that, a lot of times you see in managers, it's a one stop shop. This one person handles the fighters. Here they had a group. Everybody has their own role, handles the fighter, helps the fighter through whether it's social media, whether it's the medicals, whether it's the travel. Everybody has their own role. But even after the fighter retires, they're still
mm.
involved with the fighter. And that's very rare because once the fighter retires, and it's sad, but it's true. You're not, what can you do for me? Nothing anymore. So see you on to the next. And you see that a lot. So that told me a lot about Sheer Sports. And that's the kind of company I wanted to be with. So it was a no brainer. We started working together and very happy. It's gone really fast and I could see a little bit of the progress and I really want to step it up even more to bring some of the top fighters in the world and make them one of the premier management companies because that would, put them at the top, but also put me at the top as well.
Yeah, because if I recall, I think you've matchmade for people like Canelo, George Linares. You've done some work with Barrera as well, I believe.
I worked with Barrera prior to Golden Boy, was with him during his time at Golden Boy.
Yeah.
And then once basically he retired was when the doors opened for me at Golden Boy and went on to work with, I signed Ricky Hatton. I signed David Hay over to Golden Boy. At the beginning, it was like, wow, it's funny how things worked. I thought I'd be signing fighters from Mexico, but my
Mm,
relationships with the UK fighters was top. I mean, I was able to work with George Globes a couple fights in the US and uh, Scott Quigg and Anthony Crolla. So had a lot of relationships with the UK. A lot of love for these guys. I mean,
yeah.
Matthew Hatton, Ray, and the family, and Ricky, and all them. So eventually, um, that taught me a lot, and that will help me in the management position. And knowing the process, how important it is it's a process, especially when you have a fighter from 4 rounds to build them slowly and get them into that world championship level.
Yeah. It's really interesting as well, Robert. How do you get involved in boxing? Where did the passion from boxing come from for you?
The passion came from my father. He was a big boxing fan. Didn't work in boxing, but was a big boxing fan. So, uh, as growing up as a young man, young kid, um, there was always fights at the house. Whatever fight it was always on. And I really, when it was boxing, I wasn't paying attention to the TV and the fights. I just realized that every time there was boxing, there was a party at the house. There was food, family, friends, and a good time. So
Mm,
as I grow older, I realized, oh, it's because of boxing. It's
mm,
not somebody's birthday or anniversary or something. And I started sitting down now and watching it, and obviously there becomes this love and passion for boxing. Through the years, never in my wildest dreams that I even think that I would work in boxing or get to the level. I just would go to the fights as a boxing fan. And, at the time it was Julio Cesar Chavez, and I would try not to
Mm.
miss any of his fights. And regardless of work or what, I'd always get the days off and put in for vacation, but I couldn't miss a Chavez fight. I mean, um, he was the idol growing up in my at that time. And later obviously came Oscar and came Mayweather, and then it came Canelo. But during that time, it was had to be in Vegas whenever Chavez fight. It was shut down and drop whatever you were doing. And little by little, um, I was very fortunate. But during a Christmas shopping season,
Mm.
again, I was always watching the fights, who was coming up, who was coming out. And I was very fortunate to have met Marco Antonio Barrera, one of my idols at the time, um, at a mall in San Diego. Interchanged information because I wanted a picture, I wanted something signed. I ran around the whole mall trying to find something boxing related because I wasn't the type of fan that would be like, "Can you sign this shirt or can you sign this napkin?"
Mm.
It had to be boxing related, or if it was baseball, baseball related. It had to be related to the whoever was signing. And I couldn't find anything at the mall. So I asked him if he would send me something if I gave him my address. And sure enough, I got a package in the mail one day with autographed studio picture and a T-shirt. And a couple years later, he was going to fight near where I lived in San Diego. So I drove out there. And funny enough, about a year and a half or 2 years had passed. As he's checking in with his team to go into the back, into the locker rooms, he sees me. And of course, he didn't remember my name. He did, "Hey, Robert, how are you?" No. Um, Remember, we had just met that one time in San Diego
Mm.
at the mall. But he turned around and he looked at me and he goes, "San Diego, right?" And I'm like, wow, because as a fan, that was like, oh my God, he remembered me. At
Mm.
time, again, I was just a fan, and it was like unbelievable. He goes, "Come in the back." And he got me through the back, introduced me to the whole team. This was 1999. This is one fight. No, 98, I believe. 99, 99. It was right before he fought the first fight with Eric Morales. Now, I lived in San Diego, which is about 15-minute drive from where Morales is from. So after the fight Barrera had, he asked, "What do you need? What do you want?" I said, "I want to be at the Morales fight." I actually admired both fighters. They
Mm.
were both top fighters. Marco had lost the world title. Morales was the big guy coming in now. He was the face, but I favored Barrera as a fan. So I said, "I want to be there. I want to be with you. I want to support you, but I want to be with your, family, your supporters, everything in their section. I'll buy my tickets. I'll do whatever, but I want to be right there supporting you." And we became friends. We got close. Um, Worked with him for many more fights. He moves on to Golden Boy. I come on with him with Golden Boy, and it was a huge introduction and opening of boxing to me because now I was working for Barrera. Really got to appreciate and really admire what the fighters go through. I mean, I did camps with Barrera where you
You trained as well.
see, yeah, yeah, it actually did me very well. Every time I'd go into camp, I'd lose 20, 25 pounds. And of course, like many fighters, after camp, after the fight, I'd gain it back in like
Huh.
1 week. That was really bad because what takes 6 weeks to lose, you can gain in 1 week of, binging on pizzas and hamburgers and everything that you didn't eat in camp. But it also gave me a good idea of what they sacrifice.
Mm.
Sometimes the fans say, "Oh, that was an easy fight," because they see a first round or second round knockout. What they don't see is 8 to 9 months or 8 to 9 weeks of training, of hundreds
Fine.
of rounds of sparring, of seclusion, of not seeing the family, not seeing your kids, not seeing, because even though I wasn't fighting, I didn't see my family or anything when we were up in Big Bear in camp. So it was something that you really do admire. You really see the sacrifices. You really see how boxing is so much different. and the loneliness sometimes there is in these camps and how hard it is. And you also realize how camp's not for everybody. You know,
Mm,
when fighters, oh, I can't deal with it's not for everybody. It's not easy. But it also is that you're not there for vacation. With Barrera, I realized that a lot of times when he was in camp and secluded like that and away from his comfort zone is when you got the best fight. So I took that when I started working for Golden Boy to help advise and help teach some of these young fighters coming up and explain the sacrifices but now knowing it firsthand, now knowing what it is to cut weight, to get up in the morning and run, to do what you have to do if you want to get to that next level.
mm,
And you see it. And there's fighters that as great, as talented as they are, the discipline's not there. And that's
mm,
when you start seeing those that make it and those that don't. Sometimes it's not the most disciplined. Sometimes it's just that one that's more dedicated and more disciplined that makes it. I'm sorry, it's not the most talented, but it's the most disciplined and you know that wants it more that can
yeah.
make it further.
What I'd also add to that, discipline and consistency, right? You need to be
Hmm.
disciplined to get up in the morning, do your training, but you have to be consistent with it. It can't be right. We're just 9 weeks, and then I'm gonna eat. So some boxers do it, but I think the ones that stay consistent, like your Anthony Joshua's, your Klitschko's, your Andre Wards, I think they stay consistent in the gym throughout their careers, right? I think that's just as important.
Absolutely, because you have the mentality of a lot of fighters that once the fight's over, I'm on
Mm,
vacation. Vacation
no.
mode means eat, drink, uh, go to sleep late, wake up late. So the body gets confused,
Mm,
gets in shock when it gets into training. And then all of a sudden it does, it's total. That's why certain fighters' longevity is so much longer because of the
mm,
consistency, like you mentioned. A great example, and I think maybe even the pioneer to it in the modern era and where like an Anthony Joshua, Andre Ward learned is Bernard Hopkins. I mean, this is a man who fought into his 50s and people would say he must be doing something illegal. No, he was doing something different that the other fighters weren't doing. And that's maintaining a weight, going to sleep at 9 o'clock, waking up in the morning. Bernard held the middleweight title for 10 years.
mm,
Today you hear of everybody going up in three weight classes in 3 years because they can't hold the weight. Bernard wouldn't go up above 5 pounds of fighting weight.
wow.
So anytime he went over 5 pounds, back to running. One time with Bernard, he fought Kovalev, and Monday morning after the fight, which was a rough fight, a hard fight, he lost the fight. Monday he's back in the gym training. And I didn't
Wow.
understand that. I didn't understand that. And I had to ask him, I'm like, Bernard, it's not like you're going to fight right away. It's not, you lost. Why not give your body that break and rest? He says, that is the break and rest. You tone it down. You come off after all these weeks of hard training. You can't
Mm,
just stop.
no.
This helps your body not get into this shock and pain and recovery is much faster. Wow, that really hit. And it's hard for the young. I mean, it's hard to express that to the young fighters because coming off of win, celebrate the friends, the big circle. Hey, let's go party, let's go. So you want to everything you missed out in camp, that hot dog, that burrito, the pizza, the hamburgers, you want to go indulge and eat it, but little before you know it, you're 15, 20 pounds heavy.
Mm, 100%. Actually, just on a different topic, were you there for Barrera and Hamid? Were you in the camp for that fight?
Yes, sir. Big
How,
Bear
how did it
at
look in
the,
that camp? How did?
oh my goodness. That was, I think that was Barrera's Mount Everest. I mean,
Mm,
when you talk about we mentioned earlier, Ronnie, it's against the current. Everything's stacked against him. Even though Marco had fought in the US, even though Marco had fought in Vegas, Hamed was the way fighter in a sense, but Hamed was not only the world champion, not only he was a superstar. And I will say this, that during that time, I couldn't stand Hamed. I couldn't stand him. Arrogant, flamboyant, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, nah. Today, you know how much boxing would invite and love a Naseem Hamed? Because at the end of the day, boxing's entertainment. One thing Naseem did is entertain. He was a showman. He can punch. He delivered the knockouts. He was what I saw then cocky. Today I say, obviously, from a fan's view to now somebody in boxing, no, he's not cocky. He's confident. And if something Naseem had, he was very confident. Going into that fight, nobody gave Marco a chance. Marco trained. Literally, if you watch that Rocky movie where he goes and fights Ivan Drago, that was Marco. Marco was training in the snow under extreme weathers in Big Bear, running in the snow. It wasn't like, okay, it's a lot of snow outside, let's run on a treadmill. No, he trained in real. Watched the movie several times of Rocky. Just really, really, really was very confident that he could win that fight. He was very up for it. He was very motivated. He remember him saying, "This is the fight that's going to make me. This is the fight that's going to put me over the top." And look, he was the only man that ever beat the Prince, and after he retired, the only one that ever beat him, and that was the highest. That was the Mount Everest for Marco, and obviously it did put him at a different level. And so many fans that night were amazed as he dominated the Prince, and there was just an amazing feeling of fulfillment.
Yeah, no, it was a cracking fight. I had to ask you because it was so close to 99. I think it was 2001 that fight happened, and it was you must have been in camp for that one if you've been there for a few years. I'm going to ask you about one more Brit before we go. A few weeks ago, we had Anthony Joshua fight against Daniel Dubois.
Sure.
Did you see the fight?
I didn't see the fight. I believe there was another fight going on where I was traveling, but I did predict the fight. I'm a big fan of Anthony Joshua's from the early on. There was a moment at Golden Boy that we entertained and we wanted to sign him really bad. I met with him in Sheffield. Amir Khan was fighting Julio Diaz, and we met in the back. And ever since, we didn't sign him at Golden Boy, but I was a big fan of his. And I did think it was a good fight, entertaining fight. Two big punchers, two big boys in the heavyweight division, two fighters that can be hurt, but I had to favor Anthony, and I predicted he would win by 9th round stoppage. I was wrong, and all credit due to Dubois. I mean, he did an amazing job. I'm just surprised that it was, with the big boys, it happens. One punch can change it, but also one punch could turn it around. So
yeah,
I've heard several talks about she needs to retire. It's done. He's over. I think it's up to him. I don't think he should just walk out and say, you know what? If he doesn't feel it, then yes, it's time to go. But that's the risk of searching for the knockout. In fact, I saw the clip before he gets knocked out. He actually goes for the kill. I think that's what makes him exciting. That's why the fans love him. That's why he does what he does with the stadiums. We got to remember something, and this is with all due respect to Dubois. You don't necessarily become the man because you beat the man. So what I mean is Daniel Dubois will not fill up that arena with 100,000 people in his next fight unless it's the rematch. So Anthony brings that. He has that persona. I mean, there's many things he can do. If Usyk loses, I'm sorry, if Tyson Fury loses to Usyk, that's still a big fight. Him and Tyson Fury. He could fight Deontay Wilder, who's coming off a loss. He can fight Dubois again. I'm sure he'll come back. He's shown in the second fights he makes adjustments. It happens especially in heavyweight boxing. One punch can end it. So if it's not in here anymore, then I can understand hanging up the gloves. But if it's still here, hey, go out, champ, and go get it again.
Look at it again. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask you one more question, Robert, because I've enjoyed so much talking to you, and I can talk to you all day about boxing.
Thank you.
I saw you at the Canelo fight, and I'm so gutted I missed the Canelo fight. It was a week after I left, and I think you were traveling up to there the day we were supposed to meet. But now, obviously, he beat in his last fight. He beat the Puerto Rican guy. What's the guy's name he beat again? I forgot his name.
Edgar Berlanga.
That was it, Berlanga. But it's talk of him fighting the other Mexican monster. And he's not taking it at the moment. Obviously, you were quite involved in Canelo's career quite early on. What do you reckon? Do you reckon we'll see that fight?
You know, Canelo, having worked with him so many years, and at times even going against the fighters he wanted to fight and put in my input, I know for a fact this is a guy, and not knowing for a fact. I mean, you could look at the resume of who he's fought. Even at an early age, at 28, he had fought more former world champions or more top level fighters than anybody else. And today, obviously, the list goes on. He's never ducked a fight. You know, even when they said, "Oh, he's not going to fight Triple G. Oh, he's not going to fight Lara. Oh, he's not going to fight," he would call him and fight him. Today, it just happens to be now, "Oh, he's not going to fight David Benavidez." Who would have ever thought? And I personally, seeing where he came, where he started weight wise, I would never have dreamed of him going up to light heavyweight and knocking out Kovalev, and later on going and challenging Bivol. Bivol's right now fighting one of the best fights in boxing in a few more weeks.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of fighter he is. He's always testing and challenging himself. But I think it's the reason is he sees so many times that, "Oh, you won't fight this guy, you won't fight this guy," instead of, and that happens in boxing. We see it more from the boxing fans than any other sport. It's almost like they're never happy with the situation, with the fight, with the moment. They're all, "Oh, but he wouldn't have fought this guy. Oh, but he won't fight this guy," after you just beat the one he's previously he wouldn't fight. So I think it's more of that. Personally, stylistically, and David's a strong kid. He's done a great job with his career. They've done a great job, him and his team. But personally, as a matchmaker, which again, styles make fights, and what you're doing is who you're fighting and how you attack. I see that's the perfect style for Canelo. That's the perfect style for Canelo. A fighter that comes at him. He's a master counterpuncher. He learned a lot from the Mayweather fight, and he's with the years, the experience, and I don't see that as a difficult fight. It's a strong fight. Yes, it's a strong fight because it will be for 4 or 5 rounds a war. The fans will definitely be like, "Okay, this is what we expected." But once he starts breaking them down and taking them into a different water, a deeper water, I don't see any other outcome but Canelo stopping him. So as a fan, yes, I'd love to see that fight. And I think, again, he's never dodged an opponent. He's fought everybody that he's supposed to and above that. I have a feeling we will see it. I do. And I have a feeling that people are going to be, not people, Canelo fans, they won't be surprised. His haters, they're going to be surprised. And as soon as that fight's over, they're going to come back and say, "But he won't fight this guy now." So again, you can never please everybody.
I think after he beats him, who else there is to face? Going up to light heavyweight is going to be tough. Obviously,
Definitely, I think, he's personally, remember when Roy Jones Jr. went to heavyweight division and did the unbelievable, win the heavyweight
Ruiz.
title.
Yeah.
He went right back down to his normal weight and said, been there, done that. I did history, but I won't go back. I mean, he has mentioned in the past wanting to do the rematch with Bivol should Bivol win. Personally, I think, look, you won the light heavyweight title once. You already did history. There's no need. Remember, he's not a big, tall, with the long reach. I mean, he's really the size of a welterweight who's done more because of talent and will to win.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing what's next for him, man. It sounds good. Obviously, he got into a bit of an argument with Turki Al Sheikh over in the Saudi Arabia team. Hopefully they sort that out. Maybe they can make that fight on a Saudi Arabia card. That'd be a great fight.
I think it was a little bit of misunderstanding, to be honest. I think, and he's always been that way. Once he has something at hand, it's a respect to that at hand, and it's a focus to that at hand. And I think they took it out of context that it was a disrespect and they didn't want to do the meet. Let me take care of this business and then we could sit down and do other business. But why do this business if this is not done yet?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I only said 20 minutes to you. I've taken out double that time. So I've really appreciate your time today. It's been absolutely great talking with you. Hopefully we get to do something in person soon as well, man. I would really enjoy that.
Anytime. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. And don't miss this Saturday. Ball against Rios. And the fans will win. I guarantee that.
Yep. It's in the Liverpool Echo Arena. It'll be on TNT Sports as well. So check it out then. Robert, thank you very much again. Guys, thank you very much for listening. I look forward to the next one. Cheers.
Thanks, pal. Take care.